Welcome back to You Don't Know Ball. Y'all already know the drill by now. 3-round divisional mock, NFC South today. Let's get straight to it. First up, we got the Falcons on the clock at pick 8. All right, so after looking over the board, taking into account all value, because there's still a ton of value here on the board. The reality situation is, though, as Falcons fans would agree, look, you got to get the QB position in order, right? And I know there's been noise about my boy J.J. McCarthy here, maybe going this early. But I'll tell you this too. Look, don't think I'm out on my other boy over here, especially I'm an LSU fan. Look, Jaden Daniels, especially for this Falcon system, I've said before, I think if he's sitting here, and especially if they don't have to make a move up for him or anything, I think that Jaden Daniels here is fantastic value. He's getting labeled a lot of things. What I can tell you is that he is a game changer, and people seem to forget this, but everyone's saying, well, he's, the fifth-year guy, and it's a little concerning. The last fifth-year guy to come out of LSU that I know, QB Joe Burrow, he's turned out just fine. And let me be clear, obviously, I can already hear the comments, they are very much not the same player at all. But they are two game changers that played in a very similar situation on LSU where the great receiving core around them. He made it work. He was playing at an elite level all season, the Heisman winner. And moreover, again, he did it with the arm, with the legs. He's shown the ability that he can take over the game. And I think if you're the Falcons, you feel a little bit less risky on Jaden Daniels than you do with JJ right now. And so with that being said, and the Bijan and everything going on, we got to lock in Jaden right here. Pick 14, we got the Saints on the clock. My Saints desperately need help on either the O-line or the D-line. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is really tough to choose because also, there's definitely a few other routes I could go as well that are also very intriguing. But I think all in all, the guy on the board that I'm most confident in at this point in the process, and just very high on their upside as well. I've definitely kind of transformed on this guy over the process. Early on, it was pretty low. And the more and more I watch of him, I'm definitely higher up. I'm definitely thinking we got at least a high floor pro coming in, but a guy with also incredibly high upside. I'm saying, let me get Dallas Turner right here to my New Orleans Saints. All right, pick 26, we got the Bucs on the clock. All right, after really giving this one some thought, taking a look at all this value on the board, I think the decision we're going here is we're taking Zach Frazier, especially because Ryan Jensen retiring. You desperately need to fill up that O-line. Baker coming off the good season. We want to keep him protected back there. Yeah, we want to make sure that, that we can keep this going long term. I'm thinking of it simple. Look, we're taking the center that's best value on the board right here, plugging him in directly where he played into college, and we're rocking with it. Pick 33, we got the Panthers on the clock. All right, so what we're going to do here for the Panthers that I've decided on is we're going Jermaine Burton. And the reason to me is simple for two things. Look, the Panthers desperately need a receiver. And normally, this would not be where I would target the receiver. I'd be patient. I'd wait a little bit. But the Panthers so desperately need Bryce to have a connection with anybody besides Adam Thielen. And we know that Adam Thielen's getting older. That connection, as much as it develops, not to say that it's pointless, but it's not really getting you anywhere long term. The Panthers need somebody that Bryce is going to come in and have an instant connection with. Why not go with somebody that already has reps together and a guy who improved a lot this year on film, a guy with 0 drops this year? How about Jermaine Burton to the Panthers? I think that's fantastic value right here. And again, normally not going receiver this early, but it's just so desperately in need, and you got to give Bryce that confidence with the guy that he just doesn't have besides with Thielen. And again, I already talked about my Thielen spiel, so we're going to have to go receiver here early. We'll address other needs later. Pick 43, we got the Falcons on the clock. All right, and so after really thinking this one over, what's the best fit for the Falcons? I think you desperately got to address the edge need. And, there's other areas too that we desperately got to address. But I think with Chris Braswell sitting here, fitting so well into this 3-4 scheme, and again, high upside, maybe a little bit undersized for the edge, but a guy who put out great film consistently, very high win rate. I think you feel very comfortable here with him if you're the Falcons, especially, knowing he's coming out of the SEC. And you want to go with the guy you're confident in that's going to have a high floor, and that is Chris Braswell. If he can hit his ceiling, though, obviously then it's just, we're even better off. So I think that's where we got to lock in right here. So the way the board fell to me right now, I'm taking a look and I'm saying to myself, I think the best value for the Saints is going here with Chris Jenkins because we really need help on that interior. And if you've been watching, you know me about my trenches, most important parts of the team. I desperately want to get that part of the team fixed if I'm the Saints, and I'm saying we got to address it sooner than later. Why not just go early on it? A guy, again, with a very high pass rush win rate for the position, a good run stop rate for the position. I say I love Chris Jenkins' fit right here. And, again, maybe from the rank here, reach, but again, this early in the process, I disagree with that, and I think Chris Jenkins here is fantastic value, especially for the way the Saints play defense. Pick 58, we got the Bucks back on the clock. We're going to mix it up here and get a little bit crazy with this one, because this is definitely one of those picks where this is definitely not, the Bucks' first need or anything. But in terms of value, and I think it's a little underrated right now, because, it's just not the time of the year that everyone's talking about these type of things. But Mike Evans, when it comes to re-signing, I don't think that there's a good chance he's going to re-sign with the Bucks. I think there's a really good, chance we'll see him somewhere else playing in a different uniform next season. So if you're the Bucks, you're starting to think, we got to replace him with a really high floor guy, and a guy who I think has a great chance to just come in and be a very productive pro with a very high ceiling. He's one of those receivers where it's interesting because, the way that they play offense, right, in these type of offenses, sometimes you don't always get a ton of targets, a ton of catches, a ton of chances to show off your playmaking ability. But Ricky Pearsall's the type of guy where when he had those opportunities, man, you really saw it. Catch radius, hands, speed, rack ability. Like, this is a guy that got really good traits, good size for the position. And I think he could come in and just be one of those guys where he kind of dominates from day one and you're like, whoa, I didn't know. When you look at the stats, it didn't translate like this. But then if you're watching the film, I'm telling you, Ricky Pearsall's a guy coming in, also really like the Senior Bowl tape. I think that I'm very comfortable right here. And again, not the Bucks' first need or anything, but I really like the value, and I think Bucks fans would love him too. Pick 65, we got the Panthers back on the clock. All right, and for the Panthers here, I think we're saying we got to protect Bryce Young. We got to get a guy in here that we think is pro-ready, that'll fit well. Great size for the position. And, again, back to just more than anything, it's positional value. Like, we got to protect Bryce. There's a couple other guys here I'd be interested in going in, maybe a little bit flashier, but this is just a value pick, and we got to make Bryce feel comfortable back there. We gave him his receiver. Now we got to give him one of his interior guys. Give me Christian Haynes right here out of Connecticut. Pick 74, we got the Falcons back on the clock. And what I'm thinking here is we're going to give Jaden Daniels his guy, right? Because that's no disrespect to anybody on the roster, right? Drake London, maybe that's his guy. But let me rephrase that. Give me a second guy. Give him another option because the Falcons desperately need another receiver. And, a guy with really high upside, great size for the position, and his pops is Jerry Rice. And not just that either, obviously. The film speaks for itself. A guy who put out good tape, good catch radius, great hands, good route running. And again, beating a dead horse, but you're getting a guy with very good pedigree in this guy. But we got to give Jaden at least a number 2, a guy with potential to easily turn into a number 1. So yeah, I love it. Give me Brendan Rice right here out of USC. Pick 79. We got the Falcons right back on the clock. So what I'm thinking we're doing with this pick right here is we're saying to ourselves, look, I'd love to go O-line, but we desperately need a DB first. We know, and it's a passing league, right? We got to have guys that can cover the opposing team. We got to get this need filled now. And I've already said before in these mocks, I like Jerry Jones a lot. I do think he's the next corner off the board right here. So I'm very comfortable locking him in right here at pick 79 to the Falcons. Pick 89, we got the Bucks back on the clock. All right, so this would be one where I'm going to make a big reach. But this is one of my guys, that I really like on film. I think I've seen a lot of traits from him that I think will translate very well to the NFL. He's got a lot to work on. Let me be clear. He's definitely not a perfect tight end prospect or anything. But he's dominant at the point of attack blocking. When he wins his reps, he really wins. He's got great catch radius. He's really good after the catch. Definitely a good contested catch guy. Ability to run in motion. He's done that a lot. So what I'm talking about here is I like Ben Sinnott. And, I know in these previous mocks I've done Cade Stover before him. It just depends, right, what offense, how certain teams will feel about him. Look, but the more I watch, I like Ben Sinnott right here a lot. I do think he'll keep rising up these boards a little more and more. I'm not worried about where the ADP is or his rank. I think he'd fit very good on this Bucs team, especially because we got to fill out this tight end need. As I say over and over again, like a broken record, it's about having one of the guys at the tight end position. If you have one of the elite offenses in the league nowadays, it's just such a safety valve. It does so much to the defense. And I think you're getting a chance to get one of those guys right here. So lock him in at pick 89. All right, and that'll close us out for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub. We'd love to see you back. Have a great rest of your day.